somebody pissed off Baba Yaga. And by Baba Yaga, I mean John Wick. Or somebody like him. We've got the Infernal Ascent in reverse and the Pilgrim, opportunities and growth. And the Infernal Ascent in reverse, that's hubris, getting caught up in ambition, being reckless. And the Pilgrim, the card's description talks about just going on a journey for so long, you're not even necessarily sure where you're going anymore. And that reminds me of, like, the first movie, the state that you meet him in, everything being taken from him, but then snapping into action. Because when people go through something that devastating in life, where you lose everything, pilgrimages, did I say that right? I think so. But they tend to follow big journeys of self-exploration and things like that. But his was like a return to shadow. Like they forgot, whomever they are, whom they're messing with. And this is following that new moon reading, starting off this new lunar cycle regarding the Egregore, the group think. So carrying on with that idea of an army of one against a group, but why? Kind of wondering what this conflict is over, because I think we might be seeing more of those themes as we go forward with the Uranus and Gemini, and actually getting those wheels starting to turn. So let's see. Got the witch runes out here because, Baba Yaga has that supernatural aspect to John Wick. Harvest, but it was in reverse. So not getting a harvest. I'm just noticing a flaw on here. It's like a cut in on the stone. So either not getting a harvest or like a bogus deal or something like that. Not getting something they anticipated, which I think originally in the first movie was, gosh, it was like revenge. Like being able to take him out. Like just happened to cross paths with Theon Greyjoy. But they escalated. Like they took his car, but then not realizing who he was, and then it sent like shockwaves through the underworld, because I don't know, it reminds me of like the sign that I have behind my altar. It says do no harm but take no ish. Like had John Wick been left alone, he would have remained this pilgrim, in this hermit mode, just kind of aimlessly wandering through the rest of his life. But they woke him up, got him back into his shadow, because he's somebody that knows his shadow very well and knows how to use it too. So what is this about? Tell me more about this harvest. Like they were trying to harvest John Wick? Again, just like crossing swords with the wrong person. So what? Here we go. 3 of Pentacles. Yeah, a group effort. Okay. And a planned, like a premeditated group effort, which, like, I think that little Russian gang, like that smaller group, it was impulsive, but still premeditated. Like it wasn't completely on the spot. They had opportunity to back out and didn't. So in this, I feel like all my rings are sliding everywhere. What? So that's what's going on with a real life example. Somebody had an opportunity to back out of something and they didn't. They just kept going. They kept escalating. What they have an opportunity to back out of. And that could be the influence either of a groupthink, or you are dealing with a practitioner, practitioners. And I'm really stuttering over my words. And I know, like, I have brain stuff with words, but it seems, I don't know, aggravated a little bit. But practitioners could be dealing with Egregore, whether intentional or not. Corruption. What number is this? 15. So this is the devil. Capricorn? And what a card. This is the Necronomicon Tarot. The Lovecraft. Both have red eyes. Like being possessed. And that's very Egregorian. Like, the figure in the back would be the Egregore, and then anybody involved in, I don't know, anything concerning this harvest can think of everyone as having those red eyes connected to the one mob mentality, groupthink, Egregore, however you want to think of it. But it's a group influence that's like taken on a mind of its own. Like we put it in the John Wick universe. The gang members at the beginning, like, they got caught up with their hubris, with their ego. Like, you know, we're gonna get this random guy who turns out to not be so random. Like, you picked the wrong one. Or the right one, I guess, depending on where you're sitting on this side of the equation, because that's still inadvertently bringing down, like, organized crime. You know? And it's funny the way it plays out, because it's not by the structures that you would think we'd be able to count on. Like all the normal avenues and whatnot, but it's this kind of unsaid, in the shadows, oh no, you got John Wick involved? Now I'm not getting involved. Me, the law enforcement. No, no, no. You're on your own. I don't want to be haunted. I don't want to be involved in this. So what's this corruption about? Tell me more about that, because that can be contracts, addictions, could be actual corruption. So what about this corruption? Oh, there we go. The sun. Shame and decay. Wow. I like the major arcana in this deck because it's all different. Shame and decay. Brutal. And that gives me more like Egregore vibes. Just because the way that they're arranged, those three stacked on top of each other. Something being illuminated. And they're all in different moods. This is like, looks like they're consuming something. Something unknown. But like basal urges. And then this is fairly neutral. A little down on the expression, but then like elated. It's like the comedy and tragedy masks, but with an extra layer to it. So corruption. Based on like fundamental needs, foundational things. I think the things you need to survive that, I don't know, people keep trying to talk us out of, like, it's not all about the money. Still just trying to pay my bills. Like we're rising to that level still. If we haven't arrived there, if I'm still in the red, stop that. Stop saying things like that. But then the comedy and the tragedy, that's acting, that's drama, those are masks. And I had two sides of the coin of like the human emotional experience. It's a very thorough corruption. It's like on all levels. And in the light, so this is actually, how do I explain this? Because people tend to speak of the dark as bad and the light is good. I'm trying to detach myself altogether from that like moral language. But if you think of it that way, it's actually flipped. Because in the light, that's where the masks are. That's what's like socially acceptable. And in the shadow is what we shame away. All the authentic things, all the things that make us human. Even the things we don't necessarily want to face that we consider taboo. Within reason. But it's just parts of ourselves that we don't want to share, not because we don't like them, but because the people around us shame us for it. That's the problem. The problem is the shaming, not the inherent traits of a person. Just being who you are. I'm not quite clear as to what this has to do with a harvest, though. So corruption in the light. It's a group effort. It has to do with a harvest. So what? Tell me more about the harvest. Because I feel like that's how we'll start to understand the relationship of the corruption. So what about this harvest? There we go. The Enlightenment and Requiem of Roses, both in reverse. Well, I think Enlightenment in reverse, that's kind of giving me Hierophant in reverse. Like presenting as if one is pious. And then, oh, what is it called? Is it the lineage of the rose? Something like that? Something to do with Mary Magdalene. But this is more, kind of looks more like Holy Death, Santa Muerte. And this is, I feel like, adding on to that theme of reversing the roles of light and dark. Because people think of Santa Muerte as this bad thing, Holy Death. Do we know anybody that's skipping that part? That's skipping the death part? Like, I don't know anybody that's making it out alive. But people want to villainize things they don't understand. Um, and it got popularized by like a gang member. So more emphasis on gang, kind of an emphasis on organized crime. But it got popularized by some drug bust or something with a gang member, and then I think that was part of the inspiration for the Man on Fire, the Denzel Washington movie. Pretty sure. So even though these both are reversed, they kind of have an opposite meaning. So not truly enlightened, like superficial, spiritual bypassing, not understanding the actual meaning of things. Like this would be a group that says things like voodoo is evil, not realizing that's been like sensationalized by Hollywood and things like that. And that what I've heard is that slaves were not allowed to write. There's also like the illiteracy aspect of that too. So voodoo dolls are medical records, and the pin would be where it hurt. And when you take the pin out, that's when the like ailment had been relieved. So it's not trying to inflict harm, it's relief. So it's like a fundamental misunderstanding of things. So that's what the corruption is about, fundamental misunderstanding, or projecting a mask. And not a very good mask, because what happens when that mask, especially if it's spiritual, charlatan, what have you, what if they come across like someone like me who knows these things, or somebody who just is into history or something like that, their ancestry, and then the mask is off, potentially for this whole group. Because if it's organized crime, I don't know what the requirement for the participants are, but it's at least 3 here. We've got Sleeper, Cause and Effect, and Clarity, and the Alchemist, Balance, Invention, and Destruction. But both are in reverse. Interesting. And what does this say? Solve et coagula? Haven't got to that part in Duolingo yet. Haven't got to the alchemy part. But the Sleeper is interesting. So when I was setting up for this reading, I was kind of stumped as like, what am I forgetting? Like, I feel like I'm forgetting something. And it was that candle. It's a consistent fixture of my readings, is having that candle there. And the Sleeper is making me think of that because it's this eye is closed. But John Wick operated in the dark. And the Alchemist in reverse, that's like, we're not trying to transmute, transcend. We're trying to destroy. Just tear it down without any intention of like going from or through all the phases, you know, the blackening, whitening, yellowing, and then the reddening. So what's up is down, what's down is up. Okay. Things are backwards. And this has to do with the harvest. This presentation of perception. I mean, that kind of makes sense, being able to get away with things. But John Wick doesn't pretend to be anybody but John Wick. His name holds power, as like, that's a theme in witchcraft. Names holding power. There's ancient Egyptian myths about that, and a lot of pantheons too. But, so what about this upside downness? Kind of got that in the dice roll too. 7th house, Mercury, and Leo. But Leo came out upside down, and I usually don't put any stock in that, but it stuck out to me in that orientation today. And this is upside down too. The feminine. There we go. I get confused because it looks like the Aries symbol, and I guess I think of Aries as a pretty masculine sign. But it's more, really it's a yang. But so here, yin? Because that's typically what you'd associate with the female, feminine. But it's like I can't find the orientation with this. So something up in the air with this harvest. And that has to do with the corruption. And perception can be a really tricky thing to overcome. Oh, and my light's not on either. I'm all kinds of discombobulated. The ambient lighting looks fine in here. Because that thing that gives me brain stuff with words messes with my vision too. And my eyes are sensitive to light. And so I keep, oh come on. So I keep things pretty dim because it looks more normal to me. And then I'll realize like, oh, it's like the type of lighting that's going to hurt my eyes if I keep trying to read in that. So illuminating something, bringing something to the light. Like we thought what was in the light was the truth, but it's not. So what's trying to come to the light? Nope. Thought about it. More major arcana. Is there 2 there? There is. Knowledge. The Hierophant. Yeah. And 5 of Pentacles. Both in reverse. 2 5s. Huh. And that's got a very hermity look to it. But the 5 of Pentacles in reverse, that's a relief of like being poverty stricken, down on your luck, things like that. And so that has something to do with that harvest and that like the cut in on the rune. It's really getting my attention on that. Somebody trying to block a harvest? And that's a little different than the John Wick storyline, but I mean, imagine how would you feel if somebody messed with your money? Because that's your literal lifeline. Like, and the state of things right now, the position that that puts you in, is so much more devastating than it would have been 10, 15, whatever years ago. It just gets worse every year. So anybody who would mess with somebody's money, they're doing so much more damage even this year than last year. Because as the job markets worsen and things like that, prices go up, you're eating into your reserves, if you even have any, faster. It's that much more devastating. And the Hierophant in reverse, that could be who got corrupted by the devil. Because that's really a combination you don't want to see together. Especially not in the same position. They're in different positions, but the devil and the Hierophant, that's an abuse of power. That's an abuse of a system. Corruption. So what? How are they trying to block this? What's that about? It's like twisting the perception, the truth. Guilt and truth. 11? What is 11? 10's a wheel of fortune. Let's see. Justice. Huh. So they're trying to block a harvest with justice? That's insanely corrupt. Yeah. They're using the justice system to do that in some way, which people do that all the time. Oh, what is it called? I think there's a legal process method or something. It's called SLAP, SLAAP. But it's used against women a lot. But it's all these stories of how women, other marginalized groups, end up getting exhausted by the legal system because the people who are abusive have all the resources. They have all the power. And they get all the benefit of the doubt too, even though they're far more likely to actually be the abusive party, which tells me we need to start questioning the people who are empathetic with the people who are more likely to be the abusers. Because, like, wait, why do you think like that? Why do you think the person who is least likely to be the victim of abuse here, like, let's look at the difference in resources. Why do you think they're getting abused? Because they said so? Did you check anything? Or did you just take their word for it? Because a lot of these things rely on triangulation, perception, work in the system, and you need resources to work that system. And the people that are supposed to count are on that system are the ones that get left behind. And the people that abuse it are the ones that get ahead. So, where does that leave everybody else? Well, in a world where with its first trillionaire, when we have much bigger problems to have gotten to first, but now this will forever be a stain on us. But how are they using the justice system? That really bothers me. When people use institutions to do institutional harm to an individual who was wronged, because we're sticking with the John Wick example here. He was clearly wronged. So, actually, I'm curious now. It's a more interesting question. What is the John Wick representative? Whomever is represented by that. What are they doing to go up against this corruption? Because I want to know about them. Oh, I saw it. I'm going with it. The Crimson Prophet. Ooh. It's very fitting for the Necronomicon deck. Very Cthulhu. The Crimson Prophet. What does that say in the book? 38. Divine foresight, clarity, and the merging of wisdom and power. This card represents a higher calling, urging you to align with your inner vision and trust your spiritual guidance. How can you channel your inner wisdom to guide others? Are you staying true to your higher purpose? So, eye on the prize. That when people go into retirement to be peaceful, to be left alone, they deserve to be left alone. But I'm kind of getting like a lead by example sort of sense. Because this is like the true spiritualist, not the charlatan over here on the left. So it's like, show people what it means to actually like walk in faith, even to just be disciplined to a practice, even if you want to look at it as more of a secular, you know. But this would be somebody who, like the people over here on the left, the false hierophant, the charlatan, they want the results without the work. So this would be like the get rich quick sort of schemes over here on the left. But then the Crimson Prophet would be more one foot in front of the other. Yes, this takes longer, but doing it the right way is worth it. And here's why. Because you don't piss off John Wick when you do it this way. So what about this Crimson Prophet? So going up against corruption through authenticity? It's an interesting thought. How many? I'm just taking the bottom one. The Orator. Communication and confidence. I mean, this would be like a prophet, like somebody giving spiritual guidance. I prefer the word oracle. Like, that's just what I like to use, because it's somebody who gives wise advice. You can look at that through a secular lens, through a spiritual lens. It's just more neutral, you know. And oracular, that's like to speak. So what is the Crimson Prophet speaking on? The Eye of Providence? Wow. They can see. They can see the truth. Oh, and that just spun to the reverse. They can see the truth even if you try to hide it. This is like a high priestess energy. The high priestess doesn't need to be shown anything because she already sees it. Might not have any tangible proof necessarily, but it's like that inherent knowing and then you just kind of go about your life, and then you're proven right eventually. But it's also not necessarily about the I told you so's. It's more looking at it as a, okay, like, I did tell you about the corruption. You let this go on too long. You did it your way, and your way got more people hurt than was necessary. And I'm seeing the laurel crown here. That's giving me like somebody resting on their laurels. And it's time to try something new. Because look at where your system got us. Sticking with the John Wick example, what we were talking about earlier, him operating in the shadows is actually what takes people to task, not the structures in the system, the Hierophant, so forth, justice system, that was supposed to be able to be counted on. Then that begs some additional questions. Like, okay, if somebody, a John Wick figure, had to step in for you, why are you in charge? Like, why are we bankrolling this much when one person, like, came in and raised the whole thing? It's a valid question. So, what else about this Crimson Prophet? What are they doing to illuminate? It's not even necessarily illuminate, it's to help people see in the dark. Because that's where the truth is. It's in the dark. Not in what's being shown. So what are they... How are they helping people see in the dark? That landed right on the previous position. 4 of Beakers. Ooh. That doesn't exactly give me apathy. That gives me more like possessed. Possessed by disenchantment, disillusionment, maybe disenchantment. Or this is like the smelling salts. There we go. That phrase came up in a recent reading. It's like the psychological smelling salt. To let people see past the, like, conditioning. Like what we've been conditioned to believe as principled and whatnot. Because it's really, truly manipulative people will say what needs to be said in the moment. It doesn't matter what your relation to them is, whatnot, as long as they get their way. That's what matters to them. And so the Crimson Prophet here is like giving people the wake up to, like, look what's happening right in front of your face. Why would we defend or stand by a system that one person who got harmed by it had to come through like John Wick, metaphorically, and like tear the whole building down? It's bringing to mind Trinity from The Matrix. I think it's Keanu Reeves' relation. But like, why are we defending this? So what are people seeing after the psychological smelling salts? What are they seeing in the dark that they couldn't see before? Because those are kind of like cat eyes. You know, the laser eyes. Almost. What do we see in the dark? What's going on in the dark that needs to be seen? Okay, many things. All over the place. Like the beans need to be spilled. That's a whole little cluster, so I'm just taking the bottom one. Oh, there's more. Wow. Okay. So we've got 6 of beakers, 6 of cups in reverse, Ace of torches, Ace of wands also in reverse, 5 of beakers, and then Knight of beakers. And that one is also in reverse. So, I mean, this gives me a lot of movie references, just, I guess, as per the usual. But Resident Evil, when the vial, like, crashes down, there's been a terrible mistake. And it's changing people. And Knight of Beakers, I mean, that's giving me more corruption. Like, oh, I don't like just what came to mind. Because I was going with, like, the Playboy kind of angle. Like, money and women and whatnot. And then the word children came up, so I'll just give a trigger warning. Maybe that's an influence from what's going on in the macro right now, the ever-present Epstein files and such. But for some reason, that's what people with power and money tend to gravitate towards. Doing inappropriate things. And there's no such thing as an underage woman. That is a child. And the 6 of beakers, that is a card that references kids. Wait a minute. And institutional harm, too. Man, I don't know. But Ace of Torches and... oh boy. I mean, if there's anything going on with kids, I'm on John Wick's side. Tear it down. Like, ruthlessly. Mercilessly. Without forgiveness, because they don't deserve it. Any institution... and we've seen it happen with religious ones, but it happens behind doors that should be safe, is really what I'm getting at. And maybe the John Wick figure in this reading is waking people up to some sort of shady dealings behind the scenes, and it's got something to do with this harvest, with blocking a harvest. We could also kind of reel back to a less extreme example, like if it's family court or something like that, then trying to keep money out of the hands of the custodial parent just to punish them, but it also punishes the child. But people who are truly antagonistic, they don't care about that. They care about hurting the other parent because they had the audacity to divorce them or whatever, to have agency. God forbid, how dare you, human. So what? I don't like the turn this took. What's gonna break all this open, I guess, because it feels like tension. Like people aren't awake to the corruption yet. This is what's happening. And maybe this John Wick character sees the necessity for the destruction. So how is this going to get destroyed? This organized crime, whatever this group is, just could be any sort of group that has ill intent for the or an innocent party. So these examples could take on a lot of different contexts. So, what is going to break this open? I feel like the detective staring at the board. They make the final little, like, red yarn line, whatever. That'd be cool. They still did that. Actually, still getting more involved in things. Letting your mind work. The fractured bloom. It's like a Borg. Resistance is futile. Oh, and it's got... It almost looks like a third eye. There. Fractured bloom. What does it say for this one? Resistance to healing, fear of change, or becoming consumed by past wounds. Allow yourself to mend and flourish. It's just re-emphasizing the John Wick energy to me. It's like coming out of retirement, essentially, to do what needs to be done, to expose what needs to be exposed, and then back to the original course that all this took you off of. So what about the fractured bloom? Oh, the merchant. More justice themes. Where is that? Clock chimes. Self-worth and trade. And that is John Wick's trade. He's good at what he's good at. And he's really good at it. Like, why... If you're in a situation like this, who else would you want besides a John Wick? Especially if it's something to do with kids. Like, set them free. And then that might be, like we were talking about earlier, you know, the establishment structures, them kind of looking the other way because they don't want to mess with John Wick. They might be looking the other way just because, like, you know what, let it happen. The type of things they've been getting away with. You know, he's doing it, not me. It's kind of giving them a taste of their own medicine, if you will. Like, how many times did they look away at the suffering of innocent parties? Why would we feel bad about looking away for guilty parties? You know? And there's the scythe. Okay. Let's take that as a metaphor. Because it's like the death card. But transformation. Any system that is operating on corruption of any kind needs to be dismantled. And not just like, oh, we're going to keep bolting things onto the side to see if we can stabilize it. No. Tear it down to the pegs and start over. Because what if there's something up at the foundation? You need to actually clear the way and look at it. Because that would be, how do I put this? Almost an insult to the John Wick character's involvement in this. Maybe it is like a detective or something. But for them to go through all that trouble to incur all that risk to bring down a corrupted system that's hurting people, and then the people who are charged with carrying this forward, because it can't just be one person doing everything. They just kind of like meh, like a good enough solution after all that trouble. Like, no, do it the right way. We have an opportunity to do it the right way. Do it that way. Then we don't have to do it again later. That's kind of the... Who was it? Was it Bill Gates? He said something about he always hires the lazy person because they figure out the most effective way to do something. It's kind of like that. It's the person that, almost like a curmudgeon, who was like, no, we're doing it the right way because I don't want to deal with it again. And if you make me deal with it again, I'm going to turn into John Wick. So, what's this change to end the corruption? Because that would be very Uranus and Gemini, is bringing corruption to an end. I'm going to use that too. 10 of Beakers in reverse and Page of Beakers. That we are fixing this. Because look how studious he looks, but he looks furious. We're fixing this the right way. And I don't care if you don't like it, basically. Because that 10 of Beakers in reverse, this is not a happy family. We are not happy scientists together. No. We're doing this the hard way because cutting corners hurt people. Obviously, except for the people at the top who are benefiting from this the whole time. From the corruption. It's their turn to be hurt by this. Because that's what they chose. They chose this path. An inherent risk of a path like this is getting taken to task by either a justice system who finally wakes up, who finally gets the smelling salts, or a John Wick character. Metaphorically. What else about we're doing this the right way? The Void. And that's the World. Which was in reverse in the last reading. The cycle didn't want to end. It's ending. And we've seen like the Tower reversed and then the Tower upright and then the World reversed and then the World upright. But this is now like the opportunity that was missed was to do things the easy way. Now we're doing things the underworld way. The John Wick way. There's going to be a path of destruction behind kind of way. And from what I'm gathering from this, out of necessity. Because even if it is not, and I hope not, that darker turn that this position took, and it's people being harmed just in general by a corrupt system, something has to be done. It can't stand. And there are no justifications, no excuses, and especially if it's a long-standing system and how long they've been permitted to hurt people's lives. like, it can't go on. Like, not another day. And there'll be all sorts of resistance and all sorts of this, that's, and the others, and buts and whys. And I was like, well, look at what you did. Like, it's now a monstrous blob. And we have to clear everything out so it's just a void remaining so that we can rebuild. That's the actual, like, the alchemy card in the upright. This is the destructive phase. And then the next phase would be like cleaning up all the debris and things like that. So maybe this is more on the macro level. Trying to think of what, because I don't know if you are the John Wick character. This is just something you're sitting on the sidelines of. But if you are on the sidelines of something like this, stay there. This feels like something that's in progress, and if you stick your nose in it, might get bit, you know, kind of a chaotic sort of thing. But it could also be that you are one of the people receiving the smelling salts to see the corruption in action, and that is going to take some absorbing by your nervous system in any situation. If you find out anything shocking or whatnot, especially on a larger macro scale, take the time that's needed to let your nervous system absorb that shock, because otherwise kind of march on without appreciating, I suppose, the emotional impact to the self of things these difficult. Oh, and an activity to kind of take our mind off of things. Archery. It's a good one. It's a good shoulder workout, for sure. They're surprisingly tough to pull back, even at the the lighter poundage. And laid to rest, Lamb of God. So to process some of those big emotions and kind of sticking with that scythe theme, you know, laid to rest. Good song, definitely. If you need to process anger, sacred rage, righteous anger, things like that. I like Lamb of God. Earlier I was listening to Slipknot, been listening to them a lot. But it helps move those emotions through the body, because they can definitely spiral and ruminate, and I think there's a big caution there with a potential for rumination in complicated, difficult situations like this. So activities and music to keep your mind off of it. So overall, I hope this helps. Another one where I hope it doesn't resonate, but if it does, I hope you found something helpful, and we'll see you next time.